Hemp is India's first research to retail venture in the medical cannabis space. We're working towards amalgamating the age-old science of Ayurveda with modern cannabis research. So Ayurveda has over 300 cannabis-based formulations. Majority of them are focused towards chronic pains, and we're working towards reviving those age-old formulations by bringing in clinical evidences and evidence-based treatment to create that sort of a validation that is required by a practitioner to safely dispense that particular formulation and prescribe it to their patients. We did not really get into the cannabis business just because cannabis was cool. The idea was to solve a problem, and one of the problems that spoke to us was that of menstrual pain. There are over 330 million menstruating women in India. Nearly 80% of them suffer from debilitating cramps. And there was no sustainable solution to combat those particular pains other than painkillers and analgesics and the likes of those, which in turn have long-term impact, detrimental impacts on the body or long-term consumption. There was thus a need for a more sustainable solution, and cannabis spoke to us as a solution at that point of time. The magnitude of the problem is so high. So, in India, the average onset of menstruation is at about 12 years, and the average onset of menopause is about 40 to 42 years. So, you're talking about approximately 30 to 32 years of menstrual cycles. And about 360 to 400 menstrual cycles in the lifetime, and 4 to 6 tablets of the painkillers that are consumed basically amounts to anywhere between 2000 to 2200 tablets consumed over a lifetime. And these are medicines that are having detrimental impact on the body. Thus, there is a need for a more sustainable solution to combat it. And cannabis is the solution that came in front of us at that point of time. The formulations that we're developing are mainly targeting mass ailments, the likes of menstrual pain, for example, which is our first medicine, Felokivijavati, which targets menstrual pain and pain associated to endometriosis, so basically primary and secondary dysmenorrhea. The other formulation that we've developed targets irritable bowel syndrome, which is again a mass ailment that affects a majority of the population, not just in India but across the globe too. And another formulation that we have right now is Kameshwar Modaka, which is basically a sexual enhancement medicine for males. It targets premature ejaculation and erectile dysfunction. And in the case of females, it's associated with ailments like loss of libido in order to generate vigor and generate mood and desire in cases of females. And we're also working upon a new formulation focused towards hypertension and high blood pressure. The fact that we are combining polyherbal formulations instead of just utilizing cannabis. So our understanding is that cannabis is not the solution to all problems. There needs to the fact that there are so many polyherbal formulations that are utilized that use formulations that use cannabis as only one of the ingredients, but there might be 27 other ingredients other than that, like is the case, for example, with one of our medicines too, wherein cannabis is just one of the ingredients. There are 27 other more ingredients which are individual herbs that are being utilized. It is the combined action of the synergistic effect or the entourage effect of these combined herbs that is giving the resultant desire for resultant solution for a particular ailment. And that is the belief that we have with Ayurveda, which also makes us very unique in our approach, because the research that we conduct is for these polyherbal formulations. We're not breaking down the cannabis raw material into the individual cannabinoids, which is CBD and THC, because Ayurveda treats cannabis as the active pharmaceutical ingredient and not the individual cannabinoids. One of the key reasons that we started off with is to provide safe alternatives to painkillers and analgesics. The reason why this thing becomes more and more prominent today is because of the recent directive that is coming from the Drug Authority of India, which is now mandating manufacturers of allopathic antacids to put kidney damage warnings on their packaging. And these antacids have been consumed for decades and decades so far, and now people are starting to see the long-term impact that association with such chemicals and such synthetic painkillers. Cannabis is an opportunity to serve as a solution for this particular persisting problem as well. Secondly, the fact that there are over 300 plus cannabis-based formulations in Ayurveda that are already there, waiting to be revived, and this is exactly what we're doing at Hemp Street by generating clinical evidences for them, so as to ensure that the formulations that we are aware of are used for a particular kind of ailment. Thirdly, in India, nearly 80% of the farmers own less than 2 hectares of land, and the possibility of hemp or cannabis to become a cash crop for them could actually lead to a green revolution 2.0. There's a possibility of that actually happening as well, and that is something that is also very core to Hemp Street too, when it comes to giving back to the society.